This is the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show. Haley Stasiak and Jordan Ham. We are now joined by Pinnacle head coach Dana Zupke. Coach, you're beating the heat here in Arizona. You said you had to cancel some practices early or call them early as the storms have been amping up. What is the vibe at these practices, and how is your team getting ready for this Friday night?
Well, you know, we feel like every minute counts, and you know, we have to get creative at times and move indoors, but it's just not the same. So what I always present to the kids is when we miss those opportunities, we got to look at that as adversity, and we've got to be that much sharper and that much more dialed in because that time's scarce. And you know, I remind them every day that you know, game day will be here before we know it.
Spencer Rattler, you're in his 4th year as a starting quarterback, #1 quarterback in the country. I just am wondering, what do you see from him on a day-to-day basis that's incredible? And is that just like everyday life for you, that it's just like, oh, okay, Spencer just did another amazing thing?
Yeah, you know, you do kind of get used to it. I definitely, but you know, it's like, I'll be honest, I as an educator, I look at him like a gifted child. And so, you know, or gifted kid. So you just, you have to adjust and do things. You know, he gets bored in practice, quite honestly, just because, you know, throwing a 5-yard out is ho-hum to him. So, you know, sometimes that presents a challenge in and of itself. How do we keep this kid, you know, motivated and stimulated when we're repping? So, but, you know, it does. On the one hand, it gets a little like you know routine. We expect to see it, but you know he always wows us in competition. I think that says a lot about him as a competitor. How
will Spencer Rattler, the senior, be different than previous years of Spencer Rattler?
I think what we've seen this spring and summer is just the maturity and the leadership. One of the things I literally just remarked to some staff members yesterday watching practice is his attention to detail on little things in the game that maybe he wasn't putting as much time in, like carrying out ball fakes. I've really been impressed with how he's taking that part of his game and elevating his part of his game and making that part important. And then just his overall leadership, he is definitely for this team, and it shows in the way that he's carrying himself. He's being very intentional about being a team leader this year, which I really appreciate, and I think we're gonna see some positive results because of that.
Spencer is one of the many guys that you are returning this year. You're gonna have a lot of experience. How is that experience going to help you in 2018? Do you feel?
So I think the biggest thing, we have guys coming back in key spots all over the field that played at a very high level against very high quality teams, including the defending state champs twice in Chandler. And so I think being in those games and having that experience out on the field, they know what to expect, and we think we're going to run into that Friday night with Perry. I think that's invaluable. You can't coach that into a kid. He needs to experience that on Friday night. So I think those kids, having been there, battle tested, know the stresses of those tough games, is really going to pay off.
The offensive line has always been a strength for you, and you have Ben Fox and Luke Ashenbrand graduating, but I know it's a group you're really excited about, and this coaching staff is. Just how will this offensive line group differ from last year's group?
So, we have one of the best, kind of unsung heroes on our offensive line returning. His name's Matt Nicholson, and Matt was a converted tight end his freshman year. I mean, we made him a lineman pretty quick, but this kid's just an incredible athlete. If he was a couple inches taller, I think he would be one of the top recruits in the state. So athletic, so fast, so physical. His partner returning, Dylan Milbrandt, another great athlete coming from basketball. So we have these two, experienced guys that are great athletes that are out there. And then we've added another basketball player. So our 2 tackles are both big bookend. Tosh Baker, who's 6'9", and just athletic. And then our center, Adam Verbalitis, is replacing his brother Luke. And then to round it out, in no short order, is our newcomer. His name's Adnan O'Day, and Adnan is 6'4", 350, and he can move. So I think the thing that you see, we've got. I think a lot of people thought this might be a question mark for us. we really feel like we filled those holes of those guys that left us very, very well, and we think that's a strength for our team this year.
Looking at this week 0 matchup with Perry, it's a big one. What's going to be the key for you guys here?
I think, early games, mistakes are bound to happen. So I really think it's a team that's going to minimize those mistakes out on the field. I think, we take care of the football, and that's every week. So I don't want to sound, but I really think in your first couple of weeks, ball security is a big issue. Tackling is a big issue. So I think the team that tackles better, the team that, takes care of the football, doesn't turn it over, is just more efficient early on, I think has the edge. But I think, in specifics to Perry, they're, a fantastic program, state runner-ups with a lot of talent coming back. Purdy's younger brother looks a lot like, like, wait a minute, didn't this kid graduate? So, we'll definitely have our work cut out, defending their offense and the power that presents. Very physical defense. I think we've got to find some holes in a group of athletes to get in your face, and they're aggressive. So, again, I think we've just got to play, with as few mistakes as possible, and I think things will work out.
There's no shortage of talent in the 6A division this year, but also plenty of new coaches at some big-time programs throughout the division as well. Just what do you have to do with this team to make sure that you guys can navigate this tough 6A properly and make sure you're making a deep playoff push?
Again, I think it's what we've always talked about. It's really keeping the focus where it needs to be, which is on us. Our best, making sure every week is our best week. I think that's really the key, because that's what's going to get us playing the best football when it matters most down the road. Like you said, there's no shortage of talent, and there's some fantastic coaches. The teams that are coming up, like Liberty and Chaparral, with excellent coaching. Coach Wellbrock joining Mountain Point, that's going to have an impact there. So, we can't focus too much on, them. We just got to take care of what we know we need to do and take care of our business. And at the end of the day, that's really all we have control over, and making sure our kids are executing at the highest level possible. And we feel like more often than not, if we're doing that, if our kids are playing to that level, then we've got a real legitimate shot on Friday nights.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck this Friday night and the rest of the 2018 season.
All right, thank you so much.
That was Pinnacle head coach Dana Zupke. Really good stuff from him. I thought it was really interesting, some of the stuff he told us about Spencer Rattler and just kind of how he treats him as a gifted student, as you would in a classroom. He's a very gifted athlete. And then one of those other things that he said was that he kind of gets bored out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes practice is just routine for him, and he's getting bored, and they have to figure out ways to challenge him. I thought that was really interesting.
And it's just interesting. The football practice dynamic is just hammering home the details.
Right.
And Spencer, from when he was a freshman, had those details already hammered in. I mean, his first career start was against the defending champion Chandler Wolves, and there were plenty of times that he got punched in the mouth that game, but he just would pop back up, and you could always tell how poised he was as a freshman. That's only grown as a senior, but good to hear that he's continuing to lead, and because they do have a lot of talent, especially at the skill position, those skill positions, and sounds like they're pretty excited about that offensive line as well. I was talking to the offensive line coach, Paul Germanero, and he was just raving about Adnan O'Day, who coaches up. He also mentioned that he is just a force. He shouldn't move as well as he does at that size. So, but it sounds like they have a lot of really athletic offensive linemen and plenty of help at the skills positions. That's going to help you against a Chandler, against a Perry.
Right.
You want to get out, get that tempo up and going, and try to have these teams that have really good depth, try to tire them out a little bit. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch how they navigate another really tough year of 6A, but I think they're definitely in play as a contender.
A couple of the other things that were interesting to me was when we asked him about the experience and how that's going to benefit them, he mentioned that you can't coach that, which is so true. You can't coach giving a kid reps. You can practice year-round, and you're still not going to be able to give a kid the experience of, I think he worded it as, under the lights on Friday night. So that was interesting to me. And then just as these coaches, some of the stuff they say with just focusing on their single team, that's so important, I think,
right.
too.
And listen, I mean, Chandler is I think the favorite again this year. And so
in 6A.
Yeah, in 6A. And, you know, a lot of these teams, but it's not to say that, I mean, there are plenty of contenders, some really, really good teams at this 6A level. But how are they going to be successful? Worrying about them, not worrying about what another team is doing. So it's wise for them to preach it that way. And I just think it's going to be a really fun year. I think there's going to be kind of a lot of parity this year. I think there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be in that 8-2, 7-3 range, where it's just like each and every night it's going to be a really tough game and a battle. So I'm looking forward at all levels, but especially that 6A. It seems like there's a lot of really good contenders in there.
Let's go ahead and quickly preview this Perry at Pinnacle game. Trouble Purdy at quarterback for the Pumas. Keeping an eye on that. Zupke said that he looks just like his brother who just graduated, so that's kind of a tough thing for opposing teams there.
Plus a couple inches. He's a little bit taller than Brock, too.
Right.
So.
What are you looking at with this game?
They have a ton of experience coming back, like Pinnacle, at the skill position. Their top 6 receivers are returning. I threw Deshane James in there. He's injured, out for the season. Obviously a huge loss, and you never want to see that, especially with a guy who is so talented and athletic. And you know, but he has a bright future ahead of him. He's committed to Iowa State, actually committed before Brock did. So he's going to be joining his old high school quarterback up in Ames, Iowa.
Friendly face.
Yeah, but 5 of the 6. We'll now remove James from that list, but 5 of the top 6 returning receivers are they're all coming back. I think a name that not a lot of people, or that people are looking forward to see, is Matt Goodlow over on Pinnacle. He's in the backfield. He's a running back. He's going to be an incoming junior, or I guess a junior now. School year has started. They moved Caleb Covington, who was the running back, to a more athlete role and a more
versatile.
Yeah, a more wide receiver role, just to get as many athletes as they can on the field. And he's been getting rave reviews. Obviously, Spencer Rattler has, excuse me, has spoken very highly of him. So it's going to be, I feel like it's going to have a feel of a mid to late round playoff game, just with the talent on the field. And they'll, like Coach Zupke said, they're going to have to iron out some of that rust. You know, get the rust, shake the rust off a little bit. It's first game of the season, but talent-wise, this already feels like a playoff type matchup.
We're going to take a look over to the social side of things here real quick. Jordan, you found this fun little clip on Twitter the other day.
So we were talking about what we're most looking forward to, and as excited as we are for high school football, I don't think anyone is more excited than Conrad Hamilton over at Mountain Point.
Go ahead and play this.
And he is the defensive coordinator for the Pride, and he's slow and steady, and the team is losing their mind. Conrad has some moves, you know, and he's...
Look at the ground, like...
That,
like I don't know what you call that. It's not the coffee grinder, but like the spin on the back.
That form is immaculate.
It's pretty good.
So he's...
One more time there. Yeah, look at that.
So I'm just going to...
He almost gets on top of his head there.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. Just live life every day. Like Conrad Hamilton breaking down his defense.
Let's huddle up here real quick. Jordan, where is it that you are going to this week?
I will be at Hamilton High School. Chaparral and Hamilton should be a really fun game. Again, we've said it a couple times. Some really interesting matchups, and some teams going on the road. Cesar Chavez is going to Alaska.
I believe they're already up there.
Yeah, they're already up there. Chandler, who has been no stranger to out-of-state competition, they're going to Corona Centennial. 2 years ago, they had a very tough loss there, but it was kind of a younger Chandler team, and I think that kind of set the tone for the season of like, okay, we went toe-to-toe with Tanner McKee, who is one of the top quarterbacks in the entire country. He's now at Stanford, but they're going back up there. Should be a really fun game. That's going to be on Fox Sports Arizona also. So you can go ahead and check out a game, go out to a game and DVR that.
You can stream it on your phone.
Yep.
Double duty there.
Yeah.
All the football. I'm going out to Marana at Horizon, as mentioned, and may try to make it out to that Perry Pinnacle game. See how the action's going and may make double stops on Friday night.
You aren't short on good high school football.
And not in that
all.
northern Scottsdale area either.
No, not at all.
Be sure to use the Friday Night 360 AZ hashtag this Friday night and all week. Tag us in your social media posts. You may see them here on the Friday Night 360 AZ preview show or on Brad Sesmet's Football AZ on Fox Sports Arizona in the AZ Audibles segment. Be sure to check out Eric's Zone Read and tune in here on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock. We will be breaking down all the high school football action. Good luck to all the athletes in the season starting this week. We'll see you next time.